Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Now I have finally finished all of Act 8.2. I did it last night and it's time to start releasing the guides, and as always the first one is going to be the completion guide. So obviously this is a matter of subjective preference, but I will be highlighting the paths that I found the easiest, the champions that I suggest using in those paths, and also the boss encounters. You might disagree with it, which is fair enough. You might know something that I don't, or there might be some interactions that I'm missing. But in general, this should be, well, to me, these were the easiest paths anyways, and I'll explain why. I also know that a lot of you guys are in a rush, so I will show you effectively the write-up before. And don't worry if you do not want to take a screenshot now, I will bring these up before end of the video as well. But here is the base idea with 8.21 to 8.22 and 8.23, as in the suggested easy path by their signature nodes effectively. And here is for the rest of it, so 824, 825, and 826. So you can take screenshots of these and then, revisit them at your own pace if you do not wish to watch the entire video right now, or you just find it easier, to kind of like check it from something that you have screenshotted. Right, so here are them lanes again, but I will go over it more properly and explain them, and hopefully do it quite quickly. So in 8.21, I do think that the easiest path is this Powershield one, because not only you have Powershield, which obviously gives you 400% damage increase on your special attacks, and with some champions that's an absolute massive damage bonus. You also have the while the iron is hot node, so whenever the defender is struck while their back is against the wall, the attacker gains an indefinite prowess buff, increasing their special attack damage by 20%. So you can get additional 200% special attack damage, basically. So, you can use any champions, really, that spam special attacks or are great for Powershield nodes here. I don't know, go with Ghost, Kitties, Dr. Dooms, or to your heart's extent, I use Juggernaut a bunch. Whatever fancies, whatever you have, but this is a relatively easy lane. And another one that is relatively straightforward here is this Henchman and a Calcify lane, and the key to this lane is very, very simple. You just want to make sure you land at least one parry every time after you bait out opponent's special attack using villain champions. For me personally, champions like Scorpion worked out absolutely fantastic here. The entire point is that steady build-up unblockable will make opponents go unblockable if they inflict 3 or more debuffs on you until you purify it all. However, every time you parry with a villain champion, you purify all debuffs on you, and that's it. So every time they throw a special attack, they will put 2 petrifies on you, which actually can be quite helpful for willpower healing. But then you just need to parry, you get rid of them, and then you can bait out their special attack. So you just need to slow down a bit, use like parry heavy champions or something. I used Scorpion, I think, for virtually all of this lane, and was also very easy breezing. Right, moving on, the boss fights. Vision is fine if you want to Hercules him, you can. You can also use Human Torch for one kind of testing fight. I used Quicksilver. It worked phenomenal, but it was a long fight there. But in general, you can also use Mystic Champions because there's Tunnel Vision, which you can adjust to and actually use the willpower heal if you mess up in the middle of the fight. And then every time either champion gains a bar of power, the defender gains armor a buff, increasing armor. But you can use that to nullify, to feed your Mystic abilities, and then you just need to play it on Tunnel Vision, so it's not too bad. You can like Dr. Doom it and stuff. Or alternatively, you can deal with this Scarlet Witch Sigil, and you can use virtually any Cosmic Champion. I personally brought in Hulkling. He absolutely destroyed it. Basically, every time she's going to use a special attack, you're going to get nullified. All your buffs are going to disappear, but then you're going to gain Nullify immunity, and if you use a Cosmic Champion, you're going to be getting a ton of Fury buffs. So Hulkling was doing very interesting things here. But yeah, most Cosmic Champions will be doing just fine. Moving on to 8.22, and this is a mega absolute cheese quest with Civil War Zone. You can do virtually the entire quest using Ronin, which is exactly what I did. Even a 6-star rank 1 Sig 20 Ronin worked, but I used my 5-star that was a bit faster. There is one fight on the path, which is, I believe, Nova, where you do want to bring in like a Mystic Champion, maybe Dr. Doom or something else that you typically use against Nova. But rest of the fights, Ronin takes on, no problem, infinite stun. You can go and brew yourself coffee, because every time you strike the opponent, they gain an armor up buff, and basically they end up with like infinite buffs, and your Ronin gains infinite attack. So it's very fun, very cheesable. And moving on to the next one, alternative one is Relentless Mutation with Heal or Hide, Vigorous Assault, and Strike Back. And this is fairly simple. Use Bishop, use Toad, or use any mutant really, because of the Heal or Hide. Just pay attention when it's going to trigger. Make sure you get the regeneration, thus you can top off all of your chip damage, even using any random mutant that doesn't have regen in its own kit. And then the only thing you need to keep in mind is Strike Back node, but that doesn't really disturb you. So for Bishop, for Toad, these were very easy, fun lanes. And yeah, you could make mistakes and then you could heal up from them as well. And lastly, here's another option, Red Riot Shield, whereas you can use virtually any champion here. Basically, you need to dodge a hit of opponent's special attack, stun them. At that point, you will steal their weapon. And as you strike them, you will have a chance to inflict them with trauma. And trauma deals a ton of extra damage whenever you hit the opponents. The rest of the nodes aren't too important, and it was a fairly straightforward lane. Right, as far as bosses go, I think Deadpool X-Force and Domino both can be done relatively well with like Nimrod. But if I have to pick, then I'd say do Deadpool X-Force. You can easily do this fight with Nimrod, but if you want to make your life super easy, you can bring in a Warlock and just parry a bunch and heavy infrequently, letting him build up a ton of aggression regeneration effects, and by that you're going to make sure that he never reaches a bar of power, and you can effectively kind of like parry heavy for the rest of the fight. Alternatively, that Electra is also quite squishy if you can adjust to that Haunted node. I personally used Kitty, and that was probably the fastest of the boss fights because of Pleasure to Burn and got a Light node. You just can go straight to level 2 and you're going to be doing a ton of damage because opponents are going to be incinerated and your prowess potency is going to be increased. So if you can get used to this fight, Kitty was absolutely phenomenal and a quite quick boss fight. But I do think that the Deadpool X-Force is probably safer for like Nimrod and Warlock. Right, moving on. So this would be 8.23. We have Torns. Very easy path, to be honest. Just use Science Champions with a ton of debuffs and that's all there is to it. Block their special attacks, and you'll be good. So Scorpion with a anti-venom or venom synergy did phenomenal here. You can also use champions like Titanias or Spots or whoever else you want. As long as you maintain 4 debuffs on the opponent, you will take no damage back from Torns. You can additionally bring in Namor if you really want to, but yeah. Just debuff heavy champions here, and it was quite a neat lane. And here we have X-Gene lane, which was also a very, very, very fun time because whenever you inflict 4 debuffs, you disable their weapon again. So you use basically the same champions here: Scorpion, Titanium, Mr. Fantastic, or anybody that has access to 4 debuffs easily. And then you need to intercept them once. And then you gain a ton of prowess whenever you inflict debuffs, and there is Powershield 2 node, and you can do insane filthy number special attacks. It's quite cheesy lane. And the last one here is Hale and Hearty, in case you're not heavy on science champions. I didn't want both lanes to be science-centric in the recommendation here, so I added the third one, where basically any Mystic champions can do fine. I used Tigra for most of it, but you can bring in Juggernaut, Dr. Doom, or any of that in Mystic champions, really. Because here, every time attacker gains a bar of power, defender gains regeneration buff. It's not potent, but it lets them go unblockable. However, it also is a buff that you can nullify. And then on top of it, we have Mystic Ascendancy, and you gain 40% damage increase. So, and the fights themselves were quite straightforward and easy. So, you know, Tigers, Longshots, Wiccans, Juggernauts, Dooms, all of them will absolutely destroy this lane. That is it. As far as boss fights go, Ronin, very good for Hercules, Galen, and Juggernaut for me personally. They did well. That is my personal recommendation, I suppose. Or there's Joe Fixit, and you can just use champions like Hitmonkey or Kingpin. It was a bit slower fight, but it was very safe. Nothing crazy there. It's Ebb and Flow, Knockdown, Bleed, Vulnerability, Mighty Charge. But yeah, something like Kingpin is just going to absolutely nuke, well, not nuke, but deal with that Joe Fixit super easily. Moving on to the next one, we have Asgardian Hammer, and this one was my favorite lane in the entire quest. After this video, the next video I'm going to be uploading is going to be Titania speedrunning this entire path. Base idea is inflict 4 debuffs on opponent, disable their node, then you need to intercept them, and then every time you inflict a debuff, On the opponent, you also inflict armor breaks. It says max stacks 10, but I believe they actually reduce it to max stacks 5. But it doesn't matter, because every time you inflict those debuffs, you actually refresh the armor breaks, and very quickly and easily you get to 99 Furies with Titania, and the results are just filthy. The fights lasted about 20 seconds with a rank 3 Titania. This node is also quite interesting. The invade is there to largely throw you off the scent, and the idea is just rely on life transfer and heavy assault. That's it. Just ignore the invade. You can do your parry heavies, or you can just do parry 5-hit combos, and you have effectively a life transfer node, because yeah, you're gonna take increased block damage, but it doesn't matter because life transfer and you're healing everything back anyways. So this is effectively just a life transfer node with an optional extra of heavy assault, 500% damage increase on your heavy attacks. So, for instance, not that I'm telling you what to do, but I am telling you what to do. You can test out stuff like Domino, Trinity, for instance, just saying, or whatever you want. It is going to be quite fun and quite easy. Life transfer saves a ton of potions. Last one here is a Hydra Shock Gauntlet. This one's also very, very, very fun, using special spammy characters. So basically, you need to punish opponents' heavy attacks, stun them once, and then just spam special attacks like Hyperion, Dr. Doom, or any other champions that can throw many special attacks in quick succession will be filthy. I will be making a video about this one as well, because this entire lane was also like ridiculously fast and easy. And when the boss fights are concerned, if you have a big Kingpin, go and deal with that Scorpion. There's absolutely nothing special about it. But if you do not, then we have the Morningstar. And Morningstar is also very easy due to Caltrops, and Caltrops is super cheesable node with Ghost. Every time you dash back, you're going to gain a Fury, so your Ghost is going to be hitting insanely hard. Ideally, obviously, if you do have Wasp, then even better. You can throw special attacks super easily. Or if you have managed to, for instance, Horseman your Cable, then you can just inflict infinite degenerations to that Morningstar as well. And, it's just quite cheesy and fun. So Ghost it, or, Cable it with Horseman ability if you can. Or here we go, Kingpin it. All is well. I believe you can probably Archangel this one as well. Right, then moving on to the 625, we have this reinvigorated unblockable aggression regeneration lane, which is actually very, very easy and quick with virtually any champ. Well, you can use most champions in general because it's going to be fast-paced fights, but, Warlock or any tech champions with access to heal block like Omega Sentinel will do extremely well. You need to note this node here, Retaliate. Whenever the attacker blocks a hit from the defender's special attacks, the attacker gains a Fury buff, increasing attack by 75% for 20 seconds. So that's a very big Fury buff for quite a long while, and it triggers per hit. So if opponent, throws 4 hits in your block, you get 4 of those Furies, and you can do a ton of damage, and it's quite a bit of fun. So this one was quite quick and easy path for 825. Additionally, there is just a standard whittle down parry vulnerability lane where, yeah, opponents do have Bob and Weave, but it doesn't really do too much. And if you intercept it, you can disable it. But other than that, just make sure you have your debuffs active. You're going to have your 75% increase in damage from Fury buff that you get from parry vulnerability. And it's fairly straightforward lane. It's not like super, super cheesy, but it's also nothing difficult. And it's, offers you quite wide array of champions that you can use. When it comes to the boss fights, we have Cersei. If you can Tigress Cersei, then this fight is over in under a minute. Super easy. Also, other neutralized champions, obviously, Wiccan and Rintra, and then you can use stuff like Longshot or Mojo. You can do a lot of very fun and cheesy interactions with this Cersei. If you are uncomfortable fighting Cersei, just go for that kitty. There is no problem nuking it down with Nimrod, Mega Sentinel, or iDoom, or whoever else you want. Yeah, fairly straightforward there. And when it comes to the final, you can also take the Penny if you have Hulkling. There's nothing too tricky about this Penny either. Right, and the final path, final quest, my recommendations would be the Science Wrath path, where you basically just bring in Science Champions. They're gonna get 125% attack increase, and there's nothing really to deal with. It's just that, yeah, don't bring in Torch because of high energy diet. But other than that, you have your Mr. Fantastics, Anti-Venoms, Scorpions, you name it, they will do well, no problem. Or alternatively, we have Mutant Mastery Path, which is ridiculously cheesy with Sunspot and Toad and a handful of other champions. But yeah, Sunspot effectively finishes the fights here in under a minute and is yeah, quite fun and cheesy for sure. And when it comes to the boss, it's obviously at this point already quite well known that you want to use effectively a Purify champion. So Kingpin is arguably the safest option. A-Gun, if you can ramp him up, and there are like 2 or 3 lanes where you can, is by far the fastest option. But additionally, you know, your Hitmonkeys or Molemans or whatever will also work just fine. Shang-Chi is a great option. So basically, still Purify champions that you want to use against this guy. And that is about it for this one. So again, as I said, I will be bringing up these yet again. So in the first part, we have 8.21 Powershield or Henchman lanes with the champion recommendations here. Boss, Vision or Sigil Witch. 8.22 Civil Warzone if you want Ronin, cheese it. Otherwise, Red Riot Shield or Relentless Mutation. Again, Boss, Electro or Deadpool X-Force. Depends what champions, you know, which one you feel more comfortable fighting. 8.23 we have Torrents, X-Gene and Hale and Hearty. For sure, all of them are relatively easy and doable. Boss fight Ronin with Juggernaut, Gal and Hercules, or Joe Fixit with like Kingpin or Hitmonkey or something. And then the final bit of it, 824, Asgardian Hammer, Absolute Titania Cheese, Scorpion, Mr. Fantastic, Anti-Venom Null, Life Transfer, you can really use anyone, Hydra Shock Gauntlet, Hyperion Doom, or any special spam champion, Boss, Scorpion with Kingpin, Morningstar with Ghost or Cable Horseman, or, you know, you can just tackle them traditionally, just make sure you have the bleed immunity for Caltrops. Reinvigorated, go with Warlock or any text with heal block ideally, whittle down any debuff heavy champions. Boss, we have Cersei with Tiger, Winter, Wiccan, Mojo Longshot, or Kitty with Nimrod, Meg, Sentinel Doom. 826 Science Path, Mr. Fantastic, Anti-Venom, Piggy, Scorpion, all work fantastic. Mutant Mastery, Sunspot Cheese, Toad, Apoc will do well. And against Behemoth Boss, use A-Gun, Kingpin, Chi, Mallman, or whatever shrug of champions you have. So that is the completion guide. I do need to start working on boss guide and exploration guides. Those will be coming, well, shortly. And as well, a couple of cheese lane videos. So hopefully you guys find this helpful. If you did, hit that like button. And I'm going to catch you guys soon. See ya.